Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper value decline explained. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing dumper value decline explained. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, it's likely you view your dumper as the best you could ever find. This is felt by your ex, and it gives them high value. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing how your ex's value can decline over time in 3 points. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is higher than you. So first of all, we have to speak about the fact that at the time of a breakup, your ex-dumper's value would be deemed as higher than your own. Now, this isn't to say that you are not a valuable person. You are a valuable person. We are all very valuable people. We are all human beings. We are all unique. But this is in the context of dating and of relationships. Your ex-dumper made a decision to end your relationship, and this made them higher value than you. And the reason for this is because if we are to consider the position that both of you are in right now, your ex-dumper got what they wanted. What they wanted to do was end the relationship, and unfortunately for you, it was actioned. It's happened. This has taken place. What your ex-dumper wanted, they got. You, on the other hand, as the dumpee, didn't want the relationship to end. You didn't want to go through a breakup. You wanted to still be together. However, despite what you wanted, it didn't happen. What you wanted to happen didn't happen at all, and unfortunately, you did break up. Unfortunately, you are the dumpee. What you wanted to take place didn't occur, and therefore, you have less value in this sense. What your ex-dumper wanted, they got. What you wanted, you didn't. This is why we see your ex-dumper as the higher value individual in regards to dating and relationships, and unfortunately, as a dumpee, you are the lower value person. Now, this poses a problem. But if you want to get your ex back, you need the scales of value to certainly have leveled out, if not for you to have the edge. Now, generally speaking, most successful relationships have somewhat level value between both people. But certainly, from a perspective of a breakup, you definitely need to have aligned the scales of value, if not, tipped them slightly into your favor, where you become the higher value individual and they regret their decision. And through today's podcast, I'm going to be explaining how this can occur. Now, unfortunately, not all dumpers and dumpees in your instance will go through what I'm about to explain. This will somewhat depend on your behavior as a dumpee. If you live your life in a way where you continually push your ex's value higher, then they are not going to decline in the way that I'm about to explain. But there comes an important hint that we must delve into once more. Remember I said here in point number 1, higher than you, your ex-dumper has but higher value. Well, it's not just down to the fact that the end of a relationship. It's also down to the fact that you likely begged, pleaded, overly reasoned, all of the things which are understandable through a breakup, but still are going to push your ex higher on that value list. The reason for this is because if you are begging and pleading for something, that is suggesting that you need them in your life. So even if it's just on a subconscious level, your ex is thinking, well, my dumpee desperately wants me. If they desperately want me, then I must be valuable. And if they desperately want me, they must be less valuable. They need me. Maybe you actually said the words, I need you. Maybe you actually said the words, I can't live my best life without you. Maybe you said things which really push your ex higher up that value scale. And this is why we have point number 1, and we have to look at the fact that initially, at the time of a breakup, you as a dumpee of a lower value individual in regards to dating and relationships, and your ex-dumper is the higher. First of all, because they actioned the breakup, they got what they wanted. Secondly, because most dumpees would have begged and pleaded and pushed their ex higher up that chain. Now remember what I said a moment ago about sadly not all dumpers and dumpees will go through what I'm about to explain. Now the reason why not everybody will is because some dumpees will continue to beg and plead. If you continue to beg and plead, then there will not be the dumper's value decline that I will be speaking about in points 2 and 3. If you continue to beg and plead, you will be pushing your ex higher onto that pedestal, continually building their value, even though there will likely be factors which lessen their value in their own mind. They will always have you as a safety net. They will always have you being their cheerleader, giving them that push and maintaining that higher value. So if you feel that your ex-dumper's value isn't decreasing, first of all, take a look metaphorically into that mirror and see what you are doing as a person. Because if you keep begging and pleading, they're going to continue to have high value. So this is something you really should be stopping now. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube, and if you have the new hype feature, please hype this video as well. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is the same as you. So today we're speaking about your dumper's value decline. We're explaining how it can take place. And in point number 1, I was saying how, at the time of a breakup, your dumper has a higher value than you. And I also said that if you continue to beg and plead, they will remain at high value. But let's imagine that you stop begging and pleading. This doesn't mean it has to have happened straight away, although that would be ideal. But even if you've begged and pleaded for a while, if you stop now, you will start to see results. Unfortunately, not everybody will get their ex back. There is no 100% guaranteed way to get an ex back, but to increase your chance of success, you must stop begging, you must stop pleading. And if you do, your ex-dumper's value will start to stabilize, and then, hopefully for you, start to decline. One of the reasons which isn't so much connected with you directly about why your ex-dumper's value will begin to decline is because they will likely realize that single life isn't so easy. At the time of a breakup, they're feeling confident, even if they might have been unsure about their decision, concerned and maybe worried about you. They're confident that this is the right path. They believe deep down that at some stage they will find someone who is a better match for them to move forward with. It doesn't mean it will necessarily be straight away, but they have confidence it can happen. Now, what if it doesn't happen that way? Now, first of all, it's important to say that in my belief, your ex-dumper will enter post-breakup something I call the single honeymoon period. This generally lasts 6 to 12 months and showcases where the dumper will live their best life. They will live the things that they felt they couldn't do within the relationship, and they will live it to the best of their ability. Everything feels new and exciting. New events, classes, groups, clubs, parties, mixing with new people. Maybe, unfortunately for you dumpees, maybe going on a few dates. But this is where things can actually help you. It might sound crazy that your ex going on dates can help you, but if your dumper starts to realise that things aren't really going so well and how they planned, well, this might start to pull them down a peg or two. Imagine if your dumper likes somebody and thinks, okay, maybe we could go on a date, and then they get rejected. What does that do to them? Well, it gives them that feeling of rejection that they've not had so far. So far, your ex-dumper has unfortunately rejected you. They feel somewhat high and mighty, initially subconsciously, but then moving into their conscious mind, they feel that confidence. But if they get pushed back themselves, because maybe they've decided they want to try and experiment dating new people and they get rejected, or maybe the relationship does actually begin but then it fades away or ends quite suddenly, what we would call a rebound relationship if it was within a year or so since the breakup, these are the things which can make your ex-dumper feel rejected. Single life isn't so easy. They had it all mapped out, but it hasn't played out the way that they expected. This is where their value can start to decline. Their self-esteem, their confidence, they've both taken a hit. This is where the value slowly starts going down and starts to be somewhat more level to where your value is, assuming that you as a dumpee have started to try and turn your own life around. If, however, you have declined yourself and have gone into a level of despair where you are not moving forward, where you are not focusing on your own personal growth, then sadly their decline is almost matched by your further decline, and therefore they will still have a few levels above you. But let's say that you are focusing on you, dumpees, that you are focusing on being the best person that you can be in all areas of your life, and that you have stabilized and that you are now moving forward in your own way. Well, as your ex-dumper comes down and you're starting to go up, you will hit this level playing field. Your ex-dumper has now felt rejection. They've now moved through that single honeymoon period, 6 to 12 months post-breakup, where everything they were doing initially felt new and exciting. Now they seem kind of boring, mundane, and old. People they were spending time with even as friends, maybe they have now paired off and met new people, leaving your dumper feeling a little bit alone. This is where that feeling really hits them, that single life isn't easy. And even though they still might think they made the right decision ending the relationship, it started to dawn on them that they are not God's gift. They are not the king or the queen. They can't find somebody so easy to have this perfect, amazing, magical relationship that they developed in their mind. This isn't so easy. And as they realize that, this is when their value declines to be somewhat the same as you. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is less than you. So today we're speaking about how your ex-dumper's value can decline over time. And earlier on I was saying, if you want to reconnect with your ex, we need the value to be at least somewhat level with you, which by point number 2, it would have been. And therefore, there is a chance that your ex-dumper may have reached out to you at this stage. But for some dumpers, they will still hold fast and firm on their decision and think, no, I've made the right choice. Okay, I'm going through a little bit of a difficult time myself, but I still made the right choice. Well, dumpees, if you can get your ex-dumper to feel less valuable than you, this is when there is an increased chance of them reaching out. The level of romantic emotional attraction that they feel for you will go through the roof. The further their value decreases, the further that they feel your value is increased, this is where the level of romantic emotional attraction will skyrocket. And when it hits the necessary high point, this is when they will reach out to you. And this, dumpees, really has a lot to do with you. In point number 2, it was somewhat to do with you about living your life a little bit more confidently and pushing forward, but also down to the fact that your dumper was going through the single honeymoon period, coming out the other side, and was still single, somewhat alone, feeling bored and feeling that they're not too sure what to do next. They're not finding it as easy as perhaps they imagined. But in point number 3, this is all down to you. And this is where, dumpees, you need to be showcasing that you are living your best life to the point of where if and when your dumper finds out about it, they will be amazed and wowed and believe that you are living a better life than them. If they believe that you are a better option than they can find anywhere else, they will absolutely want to come back to you. Now you might think, well, why should I accept someone back who has literally left me, tried to see if they could find better, come to a conclusion they can't, and now they've come back? Why should I put up with that? Well, you don't have to. You don't have to accept your dumper back dumpees. If and when they do contact you, you can say thanks but no thanks, if you wish to make that choice. But if you do want to reconnect, I don't suggest you hold this against them in a way where you feel that you have the right to say this to that, to hold anger, be bitter. If you have those negative emotions, then when they come back to you, you are not going to reconnect. If they text you and you text them back saying, oh, here you are, did you not find anybody better? Do you really think that's going to help you? If you want your ex back, you've got to try and look past that and just consider that they've recognised that you are their best option. So if and when you receive that text, try to be graceful with it. Don't just try and rub it in their face if you want to reconnect. But how can you showcase living your best life to the point of where they believe you're living a better life than them? Well, first of all, you need to understand that they are likely going through a time much tougher than they expected. So don't have this fantasy that they are living this amazing life like a king or a queen. The reality is, whatever you've seen on social media, perhaps, and heard things from different people, there are going to be moments in time where maybe there is a photo that looks great or a story which sounds amazing. The reality is, it's not what it seems. And therefore, you can try and use that for you instead of being used against you. Meaning, post things on social media which showcase your best side, your best life. It doesn't mean lie. It just means present yourself in a confident, ambitious, and positive way. If you have mutual friends, speak to them about things which are going well in your life, that you're excited to do, things that you are experiencing, and the personal growth. Your mutual friends will pass this information on. You don't have to ask them to tell your dumper, they just will. So this is something that can get back to your ex and really increase the chance of them believing you are living this better life and therefore feeling that you are more valuable than them, and in essence, that they have lost value to the point of where it is less than you. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't use social media, I don't have mutual friends. How can this be? Well, here is why my version of a no contact rule can be absolutely brilliant. Because if you follow the advice I give through my version of a no contact rule, this is what will pull on your ex even if there is no direct contact via social media or friends to friends. Just the power of your absence can be enough for your ex to think, well, I haven't heard anything from my dumpee. I kind of expected them to push me on the pedestal. They haven't. So they must be living an amazing life because I thought they would. And if they're not, well, who are they with instead? If they're not trying to text me, who are they texting? So no contact, my version of a no contact rule, can give you such an edge that you don't even necessarily need for social media, for mutual friends, or any of the other hints and tips to get your ex to that position. Yes, other things can help you. Yes, they can give you an extra chance in different directions and possibilities, but the core values of my version of a no contact rule can create a sense of missing you in your dumper's mind because absence grows attraction.